Hi Mike and everybody at Natural News. I'm Teri Apodaca and I wanted to thank you for sponsoring this contest for everybody to tell their vitally important healing stories because of the transformation we're all in here right now on Earth. My journey is amazing and complex and I really couldn't condense it for this contest, so I'm going to do my best to give you a summary because I'm hoping that it will be inspirational for many others. And to help them understand what true healing is. Because sometimes you have to break down to break through, and that's exactly what happened to me. I wrote it down to make it easier to organize, so if I look down, that's what's going on. So here goes. I am a survivor of ritual child abuse, which is a form of steady, controlled abuse with the intent of breaking and controlling the spirit of the person and separating them from love and from life. This lasted throughout my childhood and affected my health negatively. As hard as they tried, they were never able to break my spirit or to take my life, as you can see. I'm here, I'm telling my story, I'm alive, I'm healthy, and I want to share it with all of you. As the shattering began to happen, the very structure of my mind, body, and soul were being rearranged, being broken down and rearranged. It was painful, frightening, and chaotic. As a child, I didn't think I was going to, on many days, I didn't think I was going to live. I didn't think I'd make it through. I became very emotionally fragile. I put up a strong front, but underneath I was sad, I was afraid, and I was in constant emotional pain. To cope with this, I became a sugar addict. And in addition to that, both of my parents were alcoholics, and the type of food we were subjected to was frozen, processed, junk food, and very little of it. So I was nutritionally starved throughout my childhood and forced to eat these kinds of foods. So this, needless to say, I was quite nutritionally starved. By 12 years old, I developed an eating disorder. Nevertheless, I was a straight-A student, a civic leader, did well in school, and proceeded on that way. But the stress wore my body down dramatically. I had crying jags, depression, rashes, migraine headaches, pain, stomach aches, nausea, vomiting. These were regular throughout my childhood. And the only thing that kept the constant inner pain away was my food addiction. So sugar and carbohydrates became my survival food. Amazingly enough, in the middle of this, my mother was a healer and brought famous healers, speakers, teachers, spiritual teachers to our home for classes, lessons, and lectures. I learned healing and spiritual practices from these people, and they came from all over the world. And I also learned to meditate. By the time I was 7 years old, I was meditating, and that continued throughout my life. One of the teachers was Reiki GrandMaster Apodaca, who taught Reiki classes at our home for many years. It was there I learned to heal. She worked on me for many years, and it became my refuge. Healing and spirituality is what saved my life. Once I left home, I tried to distance myself from the past and create a normal life. But the trauma was like a ticking time bomb, buried in my tissue, and it eventually surfaced. The first serious illness was pneumonia. This turned into chronic fatigue syndrome, and so began a series of illnesses that reshaped the direction of my life. About that time, I went back to college and studied psychology, health, nutrition, massage, and other alternative techniques. At one point, I even moved to Mexico and lived with indigenous Indians there and in Arizona, and I learned shamanic healing and soul healing. I became an addictions counselor, a body worker, a Reiki master, and a shaman. Every illness that I experienced was like a course in healing. I learned it by living it. I learned it by experiencing it in my body, and I learned it by healing it myself in my body. I discovered that as you live with a problem a while, it becomes your teacher. It seems I was my own personal university lab and professor during that time. The doctors that I went to Their suggestions were either ineffective, they were enormously expensive, I had no health insurance and I was a single mother, or even worse, they were toxic and made me decline. I had to figure it out on my own, and so I began a serious healing regimen. Soon after that, I began to have memories of the worst abuse that I experienced. With each memory brought a physical symptom, like the concussion that I'd had 30 years earlier from a beating. Suddenly my neck was paralyzed. Now, right in today, my head was healing. I could feel the tissue swelling and healing as though it had happened that very day. Or while remembering the sexual abuse, my body would go numb and my cells began to release long-held painful toxins. Whenever I had a memory like that, I would get very, very ill with a virus. Soon after this painful cycle of memories, my body exploded with viral meningitis. And what did this, while I had viral meningitis, I was remembering sexual abuse. My system was trying to integrate the ancient trauma that it had held, compacted away, compartmentalized away all those years. And it was struggling to cleanse out ancient trauma, dead tissue, toxic material from earlier experiences. During that time, I was temporarily paralyzed. Suddenly, my spirit left my body. I saw my body limp on the bed below. And because I'm very spiritual, I asked God to save my life, to give me a chance to recover. I asked to be shown how to heal and what was the cause of disease. And if it had happened once before, it could happen again. Why couldn't I heal? As soon as I made that prayer, I was given deep, intuitive information about the nature of disease and healing in the body. It was like a period of knowledge surfacing, intuitive, deep, ancient knowledge surfacing. I recovered, and I had no ill effects. This was confirmed by a doctor who saw me and said I was dying and should enter a hospital. He told me he had never seen anything like it in his whole life. And he said, "You have the blood of a dead person, you're a walking corpse, you're going to die today." I didn't die that day. After my recovery, I knew that I was supposed to be a healer. I knew that that's why this had happened to me. I opened a holistic healing practice and many, many people came and I helped them with many different illnesses. I importantly taught my clients the basics of self-healing because I didn't want them to be dependent on me or think it was me. It's their own ability to self-heal that makes it happen. I opened a holistic addictions recovery center as well, which was very successful. I took alcoholics and addicts off the street. I taught them Reiki, I taught them nutrition, I taught them self-healing. I got them working sober and clean and productive again. And most of them went on to study natural health and healing, energy healing techniques and stayed sober. But then it was round 10 of this cycle. A few years later, I lost 4 women in my family at once. Immediately I developed fibromyalgia and was diagnosed with breast cancer like some of them had. The interconnectivity of all of us was coming to the surface. The doctor gave me 6 months to live again. I couldn't afford nor wish to go through chemo and radiation. I saw what it had done to my loved ones. I don't believe anymore in the horror of chemical poisoning that is today's cancer therapy. I saw more people pass away from that than I saw recover from that. So, since I'd been doing this for my clients, I had to go home and heal myself naturally. I knew that's what I needed to do. I needed tons of Reiki, a very strong parasite cleanse because I had picked up a lot of parasites in Mexico, a new diet and lifestyle, and very deep emotional healing from a lifetime of trauma and psychological abuse. This was the closest I came to death. I had to reconnect with God, feel my deepest pain, and decide if I wanted to live again, given what I had been through. That was the test. Did I still want to be on earth, knowing the horror that some people have to live with? I decided that I owed it to my daughters and to the many who go through this to live and try to find a solution to this problem. And then I still had something to live for, that I had something to offer. So here I am. I chose to live. That was in 1998, Mike, and I'm live and kicking. That's the nutshell version. It was bigger, longer, gnarlier than that. But that's just the main portion of the story. I really wanted to get to the solution of what I learned, how I healed myself. What I came to learn throughout this process was the nature of the deep connectivity between our cells, our system, each other, and the energy that powers all of us and powers the cells and powers our body. I learned that there's a divine energy available to each of us. I learned that life is a holistic process and everything is connected. A key factor rarely discussed in health fields is the electromagnetic energy field and its role in human health. This is the yin, or female principle on Earth. This energy is currently being suppressed or taken or stolen or misused and is preventing greater worldwide healing. When the female energy of electromagnetism is released and flowing freely, more health will occur here. The yin and the yang energy need to be balanced for the body to be healthy, for the earth to be healthy. So sleeping, what I found is that when I slept on a magnet pad and allowed my body to experience daily shots of electromagnetic energy, if you want to call it that my fibromyalgia gradually went away. That the cells in my body responded to the electromagnetic energy field. That made a huge, huge, huge difference. And then nowadays, with all the computers, the TVs, the poles of electrical poles, our electromagnetic field has been affected and damaged. I think the scientists know this, and that it's a serious problem, and that around the atmosphere, the electromagnetic field has been impaired. This is impacting our health, and people aren't talking about it. So recovery is going to have to include magnet therapy. It's vital to human health today. Because if there's anything robbing you of energy, it's going to imbalance your whole system and create disease. These are really basic things that I learned. I also learned that you really can't treat a symptom like doctors normally do, or a separate body part, and expect to really recover, because it's going to reappear somewhere else. You have to go all the way to the soul and find the root cause. Reclaim your power, reclaim your divine energy, and use it to heal yourself. Your condition will reflect exactly what it is that's out of balance in your body, mind, and spirit. Go within, intuit it, listen, meditate, ask yourself what's going on. That's what I had to do. And when I did, I discovered the pain, and that needed to be felt and released. You have all the tools you need within you to heal yourself. We all do. And maybe a few healers and a few people like Mike Adams. I discovered that our cells are deeply influenced as well by mental and emotional programming. If your cells are told to give away their energy and their healing ability, they will. For example, think of the Excel program, that computer program, where one cell far away can be programmed to influence a function in another cell on the other side of the page. This is the way our mind works, and this is the way mind programming works, is to compartmentalize things. So if one part of you is programmed to be diseased, you can activate that in the whole body. So this is how programmed illness works, and it's going on around us. We're being mentally programmed to be ill. As seeds need water to grow, the soul and the body needs love. I found that the cells in the immune system respond to love, and that love is really the activator of healing. As soon as I allowed love in, I began to heal. As soon as I loved myself, I began to heal. As soon as I let the love out, I began to heal. As soon as I released the hatred that had been given to me, I began to heal. If the person is programmed for self-hatred and death, like I was unconsciously self-destructing and didn't know it, just like a lot of people are. Every time I got sick and recovered, I uncovered another program of self-destruction hidden inside me that it had been programmed to do, or that I was learning it from the society around me. I then had to eradicate each of these programs through nutrition, positive thinking, meditation, deep tissue cleansing, self-love, body work, and other techniques designed to cleanse all negativity from the body, and all toxins from the body as well. I found that chanting the Muktanjaya mantra, which is the famous healing, the Sanskrit healing mantra, and the Love Sutras, was very, very powerful in breaking the mental and emotional programming because it was so deep and so subtle. That was the very hardest, actually, was the mind and the emotional programming because of the hidden, deep subtleties. And it still exists everywhere in our culture around us. If you look around, Mike points it out constantly in his website, that advertising, corporations, you name it, there's many ways in which we're programmed to eat things that are toxic, to believe that it's okay to damage the environment, all kinds of things. Wherever we find thought forms of hatred, environmental damage, death, toxic foods, war, corporate greed, and other programs that are inserted into our culture, sometimes obviously, sometimes hidden, and media to control our minds, bodies, and pocketbooks, there you will also find disease and decay. I urge you to really think about what you accept into your consciousness in the way of programming, TV, whatever it is, because as a child I didn't have any control over it. But when I became an adult and made a conscious decision, there was a lot of things I had to, clear out of my thinking to be able to restore my health. I learned that what is most harmful to our health is the suppression of the truth of our divine energy and our divine self and our deepest feelings. The pain of holding in our feelings and holding in the truth is enough to create a disease. I learned that the secrets that I was programmed to keep became internal poisons that ultimately created the disease in my body. And furthermore, I learned that trauma conditioning alone can create illness that serves certain groups that wish to hold systems in place for their own financial or personal gain. And that as I broke free of that trauma conditioning, I broke free of cultural conditioning and other conditioning, and my health began to return, my peace of mind began to return, my power began to return. But I had to face the lie and accept the truth. And sometimes it wasn't very pleasant. In fact, many times it was shocking and traumatic to do that. But in doing that, my cells began to return to homeostasis as they resonated with the truth, with the love, and with all the lie being washed away. So when I tried to reveal these things in my website, in my teachings, because I became a holistic teacher, a spiritual teacher, I've been on several talk shows, including Oprah Winfrey. When I tried to teach the truth about health, I encountered a lot of resistance and denial, which Mike knows all about, and since he has too. And any real people speaking the truth today, any real health professional speaking the truth today is going to meet with resistance and denial from our system. That I really experienced a tremendous amount of suppression as a result of that. But here's the good news. All truth passes through 3 stages. First it's ridiculed, then it's violently opposed, you're getting close, and 3, it's widely accepted. We are at the point where the truth of healing, health, wholeness, natural foods, natural living, and the end of all this toxicness is going to be widely accepted. We're very close to that. So we have to stay strong in this fight. I also learned that compartmentalized awareness distances you from your ability to self-heal. I had to reclaim all parts of my awareness, my soul, and its power, and completely restructure it in order to heal myself. I was told I wasn't allowed to speak, or I wasn't allowed to heal, I wasn't allowed to eat right. So I had to restructure those belief systems to heal. If the forces that control us here can keep us separate from our greatest gifts and power, they can control the destiny and finances of the world. They can even control your body. For me, it was terror that held this in place for so long. The terror that was put into my mind and my spirit in childhood was so huge that it became like a secret I didn't even know I was holding, a secret I held from myself, that I was too afraid to love myself. I was too afraid to allow love in. But when I finally said enough is enough, I'm not going to be afraid anymore, I'm going to heal, it was like the breakup, you know, I broke down, I broke through, and then I began to heal. And the body and soul remembered being healthy. You know, suddenly I was free. And when you do that, what you also discover is how much you love yourself. And that's what happened to me. So I discovered there was a purpose in what happened to me. And this journey brought me back home to my true purpose, which is to heal and to help other people. I'm stronger than ever. I'm really grateful for this journey. I don't hate anybody. I'm grateful that I had the opportunity to completely collapse and restructure myself into a stronger, vital, more aware person. That's the scary part. The good news is that in this process, I'm documenting it as I went along, and I created a holistic protocol to help other people. I gleaned it from my own healing journey. Because what I see is there's unnecessary illness everywhere. It's epidemic. I want to help others who have illness generated from buried trauma as well as other forms of toxins. And in this process, I discovered there were 7 distinct stages of transformation, including the illness. It begins with innocence and ends with wholeness. I'm writing it down, not done yet, but I'm calling it the 7 stages of transformation and healing. I'm also creating a series which I call the Soul Transformation Series. Some of this can be found on my website, www.soultransformation.us, or at my blog/soultransformation.us. But I'm working on it. Everything Mike tells us at Natural News is really awesome. All the information he's bringing about the toxins in the environment and the FDA and the lies, all that stuff is vital information, and I support it. I emphasize the importance of diet, exercise, cleansing, all of it. But I bring to the table the missing element of soul healing, emotional healing, mental healing. We're living in a society where we're mind programmed, where we're told to believe certain things, and we're lied to on a regular basis in the news, in advertising. I mean, look what's happening in the revolutions of today. They're done. They don't want to lie anymore. This kind of programming impacts your health. Believe me, I know. I lived through it and I recovered. In order to really recover, we have to address the mind programming. Because when the energy is trapped in the body, the longer it's trapped in the body, the more likely illness will develop. So that's my journey so far. I could go on forever, but I'm sure that's not going to help. So I'm not done yet. I've found more inner toxins, and I'm on a cleansing diet. I'm in the process of fully cleansing my tissue, and I'll keep you posted. Hopefully soon I'll be able to report on how that's going. But in the meantime, I'm working full-time, I'm healthy, I have a new life. After being given the death sentence by all the doctors, here I am. And I did it without money, without insurance. And so I'm here to say that anybody can heal and recover and have a healthy lifestyle by utilizing your inner power. It's there, it's inside of you. The truth of what you need is individual to you. And there are certain basic things like health and healthy food and things like that, but you have your own individual process. So here I am, you know, anybody can heal themselves. I just want to say, your spirit is free. Don't let anyone enslave you. Not the drug companies, not the media, not the government. Take charge of your health. Heal yourself. You have the power to do it, and I'm rooting for you. Thank you. Thank you, Mike.